2009. In 2009, Achebe became a professor of African Studies at
Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari, and our guest this morning is Mr. Femi Babafemi. Mr. Babafemi is the Director of Media and Advocacy at the NDLEA, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. So, a fine morning to you, Femi.
Very well, thank you.
All right, then. Okay, I think everybody can see from your news unit that you've been very, very busy in recent times. And it struck us that we might just look at a progress report on the endeavors of NDLEA vis-a-vis your mandate. What can you tell us before we get into some of the specifics and maybe even spectacular cases that we are having? The fight against illicit drugs, illegal drugs, if you were to look at it year on year, give us an idea. Is it pretty much the same? Has it gotten tougher? Or, have systems improved such that there is a lowering of such incidents? Just, as I said, in the nature of something of a progress report on the exacting work that you guys are doing.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate you for that question and for having me on this program this morning. Definitely, there have been quite a lot of improvements, achievements in the work we're doing. Exactly where we are now, definitely, it's very far from where we were some 3 years ago. And today, when you talk of the major areas of our operation, whether the drug demand reduction or the drug supply reduction. And let me talk to you about the drug demand reduction. That is where we try to raise awareness about the dangers of substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking, as well as providing treatment and support to those who are struggling with substance abuse, and then their integration back into their families and their communities. We've had quite some tremendous mileage in that regard. Today, we're discussing this topic because there have been quite a lot of awareness within the polity. There have been that the sensitization of the people, of the various stakeholders to the dangers, the menace of this drug menace. And so, when you look at our commands and formations across the country, every week they go all out in partnership with other stakeholders, the civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, to go to schools, to go to faith-based or worship centers, to palaces of traditional rulers, to communities, to sensitize them, to raise awareness about substance abuse so that people can be well informed to take the right decision when they are faced with the challenge or the temptation of going into substance abuse. That is the first thing, raising the awareness of the people about this. And we're glad today that indeed 3 years down the line, under the current leadership of the agency, there has been that level of awareness where everybody talks about this, and every parent now, they are very conscious, even though we're not where we are aiming to be yet, but then we've gone quite far in that regard. Again, coming to providing support to those who are struggling with substance abuse. Again, I'll tell you that the NDLEA today has 30 treatment and counseling centers across the country, through which we have treated more than 33,000 persons. That's also a huge figure within the last 3 years, and we're also still expanding the scope of our operation in that regard. As I speak with you, I know that before the end of this year, we'll be commissioning 3 additional treatment and counseling centers, new model ones, 3 ones across, in parts of the country. So that's another thing. And coming to the supply reduction, where we actually got access to and availability of these illicit substances. Again, I'll tell you that within the last 3 years, the agency has made well over 52,000 arrests. And beyond that, we've had in excess of 9 million kilograms of assorted illicit substances mobbed up from across our streets, across our borders. That's also huge. That's probably one of the biggest anywhere in the world within the time frame. And beyond withdrawing all of these things from circulation, that is the seizures of these illicit substances. Again, when you look at our prosecution, for people we have arrested, and this is not sparing anybody, including the big ones, the big barons. I mean, we had more than 50 of them behind bars, arrested, and so we don't just go after the mules, we don't just go after the traffickers or the dealers, we go after those where we arrest those ones, we mop up those ones, then we don't just arrest them, we go after those who are funding, who are sponsoring, those that have been faceless for years, we go after them and ensure that they are brought to face the law. And in the last 3 years, again, I'll tell you that we had more than 9,500 convictions of those who are dealing in these illicit substances, including the barons, some of who are presently behind the bars.
Okay. Now, you touched on something. You mentioned that there has always been a program for victims, that is users who now need treatment. A lot of people might not have necessarily known about that aspect of your job, as well as that of preventing the whole supply chain. You've been very, very notable in that regard. Maybe this is a time to understand what it is that we're dealing with. We're calling them drugs. What are the most, but when you itemize them, there's so many drugs, I'm sure you're going to be very familiar with them. There was a time when the drug in Nigeria was marijuana, but nowadays, I understand that the marijuana that people know, it now has a synthetic version. And I think they refer to this as loud, and I don't know, that might be more dangerous. So what are the, I don't know if the drugs of yesteryears are still very much present, and that's, most people only know about marijuana. But could you just enlighten us on the kind of drugs that the NDLEA is now dealing with?
All right, thank you very much again, Yori. I'll tell you that indeed the drugs that, the ones you call the drugs of yesteryears, that's what a lot lot of people used to know as those drugs in circulation, especially cannabis. Because,
cannabis, yes.
Cannabis is homegrown, but then unfortunately, over time, people had to go out again because they are no longer satisfied with what they get, what they derive from the locally grown cannabis. So they had to go abroad again to go and be importing the synthetic variants or strains of this particular psychoactive substance. And that's where you have Loud, Colorado, and Arizona. So all of these, especially, they're all imported and brought in, and more damaging to our people, to their mental health, to their well-being, and again to law and order, because these things alter the way the mind, the body of those that consume them think, the way they act, the way they behave, and ultimately, when taken over time, there's no doubt about the fact that this leads or causes psychosis. So apart from cannabis, which is actually the most commonly abused psychoactive substance, because when you go by the 2018 report of, the drug use survey report that was published in 2018, we have 10.6 million Nigerians abusing that particular substance. When you look at 10.6 million Nigerians, that's more than the population of a lot of us African countries, including European countries. So that's a huge population. That is out of the 14.3 million Nigerians captured, that within the age bracket of 15 and 64, captured to be abusing illicit substances. Where that survey, 10.6 million, that's a shock. That's the bulk of them. 10.6 million of them abuse cannabis alone. And there is no denying the fact that indeed that's a major challenge. That's a major drug of abuse, of choice of our people, and which indeed causes a lot of damage. It causes a lot of damage to their health, because that's why you see on our street, you have quite some young people who are suffering from psychosis. This as a result, I'm not drawing the conclusion that this is all about, it's all about cannabis. There are quite a lot of them, when they abuse even this same cannabis, including the synthetic strains, over time, that no longer satisfies them, so they have to combine it with some other things, that is including cocaine, heroin, as well as the opioids. I mean, when you look at some of our reports that we release every week, you see that in recent months, we've had quite a lot of seizures of opioids, especially codeine and tramadol, especially tramadol, both at our ports in Lagos and in Rivers State. That's One in Rivers State. I can say in the last 3 months, we've made more than 100 million pills of tramadol alone, and different variants of that again, which is really, really, that's a very deadly or dangerous one. These are tramadol that are far higher than the legally or the licit allowed one. That is the 50 milligram and 100 milligram that is medically allowed in Nigeria. But what we've been dealing with, what we've been seizing in recent months, they are 225, 250 milligrams, which are really, really very lethal or very deadly, which are really, really dangerous. We've had millions of those seized recent times. That's one. Again, you also look at such drugs as, while dealing with those even conventional ones, we also have another one that we're dealing with, and that's what we call that comes under the category of new psychoactive substances that were not conventionally captured. That's where you have quite a lot of these measures that some of our young people try to prepare on their own. And then you also have some of these herbal products. They come under that new psychoactive substance. So we have quite a lot of them, talking of Akuskura, talking of monkey tail. They come in different names depending on wherever they are being produced. That's across the country. So all of this, they are all drugs that are really that have really come under our focus, and indeed we're going all out to ensure that we block them from circulation in the interest of public health, and especially the well-being of our young people who are really going for these things.
Quite a wide expanse of drugs you've mentioned, apart from what did we call it, marijuana, cannabis, and also you've spoken about cocaine, heroin, codeine, tramadol. We'll come back and maybe deal with this, and especially the carriers, how this trade is kept alive. But before then, what is the attitude of the agency to an increasing tolerance in the West, in other countries, for the drug, legacy drug perhaps, which is the cannabis, marijuana, so much so that it has been the opposite of criminalized, especially in parts of America, in parts of Europe. It is actually seen as something of a social drug that you can buy under controlled circumstances, even have delivered to you. I'm sure the NDLEA will be very, very aware of these movements across the globe. So what is our attitude to it in terms of the seriousness with which we pursue these kind of drugs in our own territory?
Yes, that's a very complex area. Indeed, going by law today, cannabis is, even possession of it is criminal, it's illegal. And then there have been quite a lot of arguments about cannabis globally. It was something the World Health Organization has still categorized as something that is dangerous to health because it causes psychosis. And so the CND, Commission of Narcotics Drugs, that's the United Nations body, that's the umbrella body of United Nations Office in the management or the control of illicit substances globally. Even though that has been removed from Schedule 4, that is now expecting or empowering each country to determine how they deal with it or how they control it. So that in Nigeria at the moment, cannabis is still a drug that is illegal, even possession of it. So having said that, indeed, globally, there has not been, even those that had decriminalized, those that had allowed the use of this, whether for medicinal or recreational purposes, for one reason or the other. Quite a number of them, again, because we follow developments globally. We don't just look at our situation here alone. We follow developments globally. Quite a number of those places, because we followed, reports about these things across the world, and we go to meetings with these people globally to review and exchange notes. And so some of these places are also beginning to review some of their decisions because they have also seen an increase in hospitalization and crime rate as a result of their attitude to the use or abuse of this particular psychoactive substance. Again, coming to our own situation here, the strongest argument so far has been about revenue. That is, if we allow this to be exported and all those kind of things, that it will bring revenue to us. But then, when you look at 10.6 million, as at 2018, 10.6 million people are abusing this particular substance. And so, if again you look at, if we generate say like $1 billion, and we'll have need to build rehabilitation centers or to attend to the medical problem arising from the abuse of this particular substance, if we have to spend $10 billion on managing the health implications and even the security consequence of that, what's the logic there? What's the sense in there? That if we're making $1 billion and we have to spend $10 billion.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we have to consider when it comes to that. And again, don't forget I said that in a lot of places where this has been decriminalized, where this recreational use of medicinal use has been allowed, quite a number of them are already reviewing their attitude to this because of the grave consequences of this particular of their action.
All right then. Okay. We take our first call this morning. Mr. George in Ikeja. Good morning. Okay, can you hear us? George in Ikeja. Good morning. Okay.
Hello.
Yes. Hello, Mr. George.
Hello, Uncle Yoro. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Please, can you show sign if you are hearing me? It's very faint here.
If you're watching your television, I'm giving you 2 thumbs up that we can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Babafemi.
Okay.
I want to use this opportunity to thank Brigadier General Marwa and his team for the good work they've been doing. I've been following your organization since Brigadier Marwa came in, and it brought a whole lot of difference to the fight against hard drugs. It's the same thing with NAFDAC when Professor Dora Akunyili came in. That was when we knew the import of NAFDAC. He's already doing what is expected of him. All I want to say, please tell him that Nigerians are proud of him and that he should not back down by the pressure the bad people are mounting on him. Some of us are aware of some of the things that he's experiencing that cannot be said on air. For example, he should fight on. Some of us appreciate what you guys are doing, irrespective of the risks involved. Nigeria is a great country, and it is great people like you and your team that makes it great. Uncle Yori, I see a president in the making in General Marwa, and I know, by God's grace, it will happen. I wish all of you in that team the strength to succeed, Mr. Babafemi. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Mr. George.
Yeah, Yori, can you help me? Unfortunately, I couldn't hear what Mr. George was saying. If you can just help me paraphrase or just summarize for me. In case I have to respond to it.
What he was saying was that he was praising the work of the NDLEA, especially under Buba Marwa, that he has been monitoring activities there, and that he's, as a Nigerian, he's quite happy, he's quite proud with the work that has been going on in that place.
All right.
So that is really, the essence of what he was saying, and that. But he also now alluded to pressure on the agency to slow down a bit or not continue at the pace at which he is continuing, and he was encouraging you to pay no attention to all those overtures and just go on full blast ahead. And that was where I was going to come in from. That could you talk to that aspect? Are there pressures on the agency from time to time to cut some slack for the work they're doing?
Well, I don't. First, I would like to appreciate Mr. George for the commendation and the compliments. We do appreciate all of those things coming from stakeholders, especially our citizens. They go a long way to encourage and bolster the morale of our workforce. But then the other leg of his question now, I don't know where.
Well, it wasn't a question; it was an observation. It was an observation.
Okay, then I don't see any reason for that, because I'll tell you that indeed the highest authority in this country is the President of Nigeria, and I can tell you that indeed the President is well seized about the problem of drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking in the country, and he has been supporting the agency when you talk of giving the agency the strength, the bite, and the encouragement and the funding to go all out. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. Without the highest authority in the country supporting you, you may not be able to do all of the things we are doing. And again, all the stakeholders, whether at the level, whether at the National Assembly, we have was it last week or so, the National Assembly passed the amended act, the bill of amending the act of the agency. That's another encouragement. There are quite a lot of things that the new bill would really take care of in the operations of the agency. That's an encouragement. That's a support from the National Assembly. Again, when you look at the judiciary, I've just told you that in the last 3 years, we've had more than 9,500 convictions, including high-profile convictions. So, and quite a lot of cases are going on very well in the law court. So that's another encouragement from the judiciary. I did say that at the highest level, we have the support of the executive. So whether at the level of the presidency or at the level of the ministry overseeing the agency, that's the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of the Federation, who is also well seized about this problem. So I don't really know where, but I can tell you that indeed the volume of drugs that the agency had seized this year alone, including in every area of our activities, there is no letdown. And I don't think that will come from anywhere, because we really have a huge problem that really needs to be addressed headlong and collectively with all our stakeholders, whether at the level of the government or at the level of the citizenry.
All right. Reverend Dominic is waiting on the line. Good morning, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning, Chief Jore.
Thank you.
Good morning, Babafemi. I don't know whether your guest is hearing me.
Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear Femi? Can you hear him?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, I can.
Yes, he's hearing you.
Okay. Jore, I want to continue where my friend George stopped.
Sure.
But what I want to define is this. Let's take pressure aside. Everywhere in the world, in America, in Colombia, in Brazil, in Thailand, in India, the drug cabal always put pressure on government, but nobody can overwhelm government. That's by the side. But what George is saying about praising them is okay. But Yori, please, I don't know whether you can hear me. If you cannot hear me, give him this message.
He can hear you.
I want him to mention 3 cabals that he has arrested and prison. 3, only 3. Number 2, what is wrong with the man they arrested? That's other GSTP or maybe inspector, I don't know. What police officer called when he was arrested? They arrested him hands down. They have the evidence. They pick him up on the point, so they have the evidence. And the 2 boys who brought in that drug from Enugu have been plead guilty and they're in prison. Why is it they have not prison him till today? Why is he in custody? Those were the 2. When I heard is coming to your session this morning, I saw a madman. Please, you're hearing me. A madman told me that most of these drugs they seize at times go around and come back to the market. I repeat myself again. A madman told me this morning, and he had to walk away, that most of these drugs they seize turn around and come back to the market. One, what is wrong with the Cairo that holds red-handed on the drugs? Why he has not been prison? Number 2, let me mention to Nigerians 3 cabals in prison.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. I'll tell you what, Femi, let me quickly take a break.
Okay.
So that, when I come back, you will be uninterrupted by the need to go on a break. Stay with us, please.
Hello, TVC Communications. How can I help?
What makes TVC the right choice for my business?
Excellent question, sir. Let me share some exciting facts with you.
Start your day on TVC Entertainment with Wake Up Nigeria, a family and lifestyle show. Your view empowers women globally.
It's your view, let it count.
Entertainment Splash delivers the hottest celebrity trends. On TVC News, we keep you informed with breaking news and in-depth analysis of events shaping the world.
I will continue to speak the truth.
TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. delivers the most important stories of the day. Max FM, your hit music radio station, captivates listeners daily across Lagos and Abuja, making every commute more enjoyable. Adaba 88.9 FM is not left out, as it is the voice of Southwest. And on TVC Digital, we reach to million viewers daily. All together, pulls in over 17 million viewers daily. Contact us on 0707-272-8338 or marketing at tvccommunications.tv. Partner with TVC Communications today. Let's grow together.
Meet Benga Oreshegun, a fearless voice and an advocate for the truth. He's bringing fresh energy and bold insights to Journalists Hangout.
Get ready for deeper analysis and dynamic perspectives. Join me and Babajide Kolade Otitoju with other veteran journalists on Journalists Hangout. Weekdays from 5 p.m. and on Sundays, 1:30 p.m.
Okay, welcome back. And our guest today is Femi Babafemi, Director, Media and Advocacy, NDLEA, also known, aka NDLEA spokesman. Thank you very much for staying with us, Femi. Okay, a number of questions were sort of lined.
Okay, I didn't get Mr. Dominic, so if you can also help me with what.
Okay, now Mr. Dominic, Reverend Dominic had something of a shopping list. One, he wanted you to mention, he wanted you to tell us about, shall we say, three big cabals that you have busted, or the leaders of these cabals. He wanted you to mention three of them for us. That seemed to be the essential. Omashio, I'm so sorry that you didn't hear. We had confirmed that we were hearing him, but he did seem to say he wanted to follow in the line. Well, I don't know. I can't say what he wanted to do, but he did say, "Could you tell us?" Because he gave the impression that we hear about arrests and then we don't hear about the complete processing of the particular case. That at least is what he implied. Yes. So tell us about that.
Okay, let me quickly speak to that. Indeed, unfortunately, these things keep coming up, and we keep addressing them, and that's why, beyond our statements on our arrests and seizures, indeed, in fact, right in front of me as I speak, I have a compilation of our convictions, a record of convictions for the month of October, which I hope to be putting in a statement before the end of the week or early next week. We do update again from time to time about maybe Reverend Dominic had not been following that, but indeed we update the public about our record of convictions. Like I said, this is open. I mean, this is what even at the, if he can put his hands on his, on his system and type convictions in NDLEA, all of this information available on our website and on the. Okay, let me quickly, for instance, in 2021, we had 1,338 convictions. In 2022, we had 2,348 convictions. In 2023, we had 3,079 convictions. And between January and October this year, we've already recorded 2,799 convictions. So, meaning there is no letdown. We keep pushing. And I think maybe there are quite a number of cases that are really popular out there. They are quite, as we speak, I can tell you that indeed there are about in Lagos alone in the last 2-3 months we've had the trial of 2 major barons going on, and these are reported in the media. So maybe if Reverend Dominic would take time to follow some of these things, these reports in the media, he would indeed. He will indeed. And beyond their convictions or beyond their trial, another thing we are doing to strengthen the deterrence effect of our operations is going after the assets of these people. And these things are also published in the media. The assets that are being seized from these people, these things are published either in reports or in advertorials in the paper. So if Reverend Dominic would try to follow up, on our website or in the media, he would definitely know some of this. Indeed, they are not things that we do halfway. We go the whole hog. Apart from going after the drugs, seizing them, arresting them, we also go after their assets. Meaning that even if they are done serving jail time, they have nothing to come back to. So that's how far we have gone. I can tell you that indeed we're having the support of the government in this area. We're going all out, just to ensure that indeed, we strengthen the deterrence effect of the operations of the agency.
Okay, I was reading, I think one of the very latest reports in the press about a particular drug trafficking suspect. One of the most recent cases, the name escapes me now, but this guy was so, shall we say, crafty. His travel itinerary, he was going here, there, in order to throw the NDLEA off. But according to the report, he was not to know that the NDLEA had been on him for the past 3 months through intelligence. So that brings me to what I wanted to speak about, the part of intelligence in your operations. You wouldn't be able to work without it, the good intelligence that you get, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll tell you that under the new NDLEA, especially with the new leadership of the agency, there has been a real 100% led, intelligence, 100% intelligence-led operations. The agency has really metamorphosed into a full intelligence-led operation. Agency relied substantially on technology and intelligence. I can tell you that because with what we're doing, those things are not things you just do with bare hands. You have to really depend on a lot of intelligence, and I'll tell you that indeed our operations are 100% intelligence-led, and we're deploying. We have the NDLEA. I can also say that it's indeed, the agency has a lot of capacity and capability in that regard at the moment, and we're deploying and making use of that to ensure that we are way steps ahead of the drug cartels. And that's why you will see us rounding up 5-6 persons at a time and in different locations. That's a lot of work. And again, people involved, they just see us at their doorstep or in their handouts without knowing how we get to that point. In some cases we spend, we go weeks, months, and in some cases even years to go after these people. Tracking them and monitoring their activities, whether they operate within the country or they operate outside of the country. Like the case we're trying to refer to, the suspect involved actually runs businesses in Lagos and also Gabon. He's based in Gabon.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah, that's exactly, I know. So, and what he did was to travel from Gabon by road to another country, and from there took a flight to Addis Ababa, and from Addis Ababa then he decided to fly into Enugu, and from Enugu ultimately he was coming to Lagos. But he didn't know that. He was shocked when we intercepted him at the Enugu airport, and we had to subject him to body scan. So how would you? So, but then this is somebody that has been under our watch list for the past 3 months, and then we were able to track all his movement from those countries up to the point he landed in Nigeria. So we really work with a lot of intelligence and make use of technology.
Okay, one moment, please. Let me come back to the callers now. Benga in Abuja is standing by. Good morning, Benga.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling.
And good morning to your guests there.
Yes.
Looking at drug war, success, challenges, and the way forward. Now, let me talk about the success. They have made tremendous success after the appointment of General Marwa. When he was appointed, one of the people that hailed...
Femi, can you hear? One moment, let me just check. Femi, can you hear? Can you hear Benga speaking?
I'm not really getting his words.
Okay. I will be sure to paraphrase.
But I'm sure you will help me, yes.
Yes, please continue, Benga.
Okay. So I was one of the people that applauded his appointment because of what he did in Lagos. After Tinubu, the other name you hear in Lagos is Marwa up to today. He has not disappointed us. We have seen tremendous success. Seizing drugs in billions of naira. You now ask yourself, what was happening at NDLEA and at that NDLEA before? Was it that the people are not well motivated? Was it that those people are there were tagged, they fresh blood? No. If the same people were there, leadership is key in every organization for the success. And with enough motivation, and I believe that they will continue to do more. Now, what are we saying? What I'm saying is that the general should not look back, should not release his leg from the pedal. He should continue to move forward and give enough motivation, insurance, and protection to the staff. Because many of them risk their lives in going after these drug dealers, even especially in the forest, when they are after all these marijuana planters and the others. So they should give them enough security, protection, arms, and the rest of it. Their insurance for them, and also other area of motivation. This is very key to be able to do more. Then challenges is now there should be more intelligence so that they'll be able to, because this growth is in a society. People still dare them to carry the drug. You see, some people are still being able to carry without being detected. So for that, they need more intelligence to do their work. And then the law has been passed now that any drug, something should be paid for, should be firing squad. It means that this should be a deterrent to others. And we see more to be done in that area. That not only them being killed or paying firing squad, any property they have, both in cash, anywhere all over the world, to be confiscated. And also, no collaboration with the national agency, because this thing is a kind of network all over the world and a cartel all over the world. With more intelligence, we can do more. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Benga in Abuja. Did you say there was a difficulty hearing him well, or did you get him?
Yeah, I got some. I know he talked about insurance, whether there is insurance for staff, whether there is protection for them in the course of their duties. I picked those two things.
Yes, he first of all commended the administration of Buba Marwa, and he put that down to probably a better motivation, and he did encourage that you should even go further than this and consider insurance for men of NDLEA, men and women of NDLEA who are doing a very hazardous job. And then he also commented on seizure of properties of those who have been found guilty that you have talked about. Generally, kudos from him, Gwenga in Abuja, to the work of the agency, and that you should not relent.
All right. Thank you very much for that. We also like to appreciate Mr. Gwenga for those comments. We appreciate your encouragement and the commendation. Our officers and men and women across the country, they are watching this and they are being encouraged by all of this. Now, again, his suggestions are very valid, but I can also assure him that indeed the agency has premium insurance in place for our workforce and our assets. We have injury and life insurance cover for our workforce. That I can assure you. Again, in terms of protection for our operatives when they are out there, for operation, again, there has been quite a lot of improvement in that regard. Today, they go out, especially to those difficult terrains with armored vehicles to be able to protect themselves against attacks from the cartels. Apart from going out with armored vehicles, we have again a new unit that we call Strike Force. That's the elite guards in the agency, well trained globally all across they've gone to places for training in this regard. They are well armed. Again, they accompany, they give cover to our men and officers when they go for this operation. In addition to that, we also have we've also deployed body cameras to be able to again provide some leverage for our operations with body cameras. People in the command locations can always monitor what's happening on the field in case there is a need for reinforcement and all of those things, and to also strengthen the integrity of the operations, in addition to enhancing the protection of officers and men involved in this operation. So those are quite a lot of, tremendous areas of improvement in and in addition to that, I can also say that indeed, in terms of the welfare package, I do know that what officers are earning some 3 years ago is not what they are earning in 2024. That I can tell you, in 2024, there has been some improvement in that regard. So, courtesy the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we are grateful to the federal government for that. So there have been quite a lot of improvements.
All
That's
right.
why we're getting results.
Okay, then. You know, we've talked about quite a bit. You've mentioned, although you've mentioned, cannabis and also the synthetic version, which is probably going to be more damaging if it is synthetic, and cocaine,
because
heroin.
they are processed. Yeah.
Yes. Cocaine, heroin, tramadol. Okay, now social trends, as you know, rap is a global phenomenon now, and a lot of the stars of rap, and I don't know if it is the same with musicians locally, there is something, syrup, yeah, I believe that's it, syrup, that also can become, quite dangerous, right? Is syrup separate from all the tramadol, codeine, heroin, cocaine, and all those ones that you have mentioned? What is syrup? Because it is said to be addicting. That's just briefly as we close, as more of a social trends drug.
Yes, that's actually the codeine-based syrup. Codeine-based syrup. This, codeine-based syrup. That's what I was telling you earlier. That we made huge seizures of that at Apapa and Tinkan in Lagos, as well as One in Port Harcourt in Rivers State. Quite a lot of seizures in that regard. So we don't take our eyes, even though these are not totally illicit drugs. They are pharmaceutical drugs. They are drugs medically allowed, but they are controlled because of the abuse, because of the use, the diversion for into some other things by those who are using these things, especially our young people. And that's why when we see any consignment coming into the country that is not approved by NAFDAC or by the government, by the Federal Ministry of Health, we go after them, we seize them, except the importer is able to prove that is, and again, in all of those that we have seized, they're actually those that are far and above the milligram allowed in the country, which, for instance, in the case of tramadol, we only have 50 milligram and 100 milligram, but all of those that we have been seizing, they are those 225, 250, 300
more potent,
which but more damaging, more dangerous, more lethal than what is legally allowed. So that's why we don't wait for anything. We go after them and also go after those that are importing them.
Okay, then. You know what? There's so very much to talk about here, and you sort of spoken about these issues for us, and also the outlook for the agency. Something of a progress report for which we thank you, and we wish you in the agency well, very much as the viewers who have called in have also said. They also have acknowledged the great work that you are doing, and they are admonishing you to not relent whatever the distraction or opposition, although you said that no, you don't get very much of that. Instead, what you do get is cooperation from higher ups as far as your job is concerned. So I want to thank you, Femi, Babafemi, Director of Media and Advocacy, aka PRO, the spokesman of NDLEA. Thank you very much, Femi, for making the time for us.
Thank you. Always my pleasure being with you on this program.
All right, then. Cheers. Okay, so we're going to leave it there then. That's our program today. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.
But why won't I be happy? Not just because it's festive season. It's moments of friendship and 60 million reasons to love. Small pepper.